In the quietude of a crisp autumn morning, Emily Sterling awoke to an eerie silence that clung to the walls of her Victorian home like a shroud. The usual symphony of her family's morning rituals, the clatter of dishes, the hum of the coffee maker, the distant murmur of her husband's radio was conspicuously absent. She lay still, her heart quickening as she strained to hear any familiar sound. Nothing but the faint ticking of the grandfather clock downstairs broke the silence. She threw off the covers and swung her legs over the side of the bed, her feet touching the cool hardwood floor. The house felt different, as if the very air had shifted in the night. She called out for her husband. "David?" Her voice echoed through the empty hallway, unanswered. Emily hurried downstairs, her steps quickening with each unanswered call. The kitchen was empty, the breakfast table unset. The living room was equally deserted, the usual clutter of her children's toys and books neatly arranged. Panic began to rise within her as she rushed from room to room, finding each one vacant. Her search led her to the front door. She grasped the handle, but it wouldn't budge. She tried again, pulling with all her might, but the door remained firmly shut. A glance at the windows revealed they were boarded up from the outside, the faint light filtering through the cracks, casting eerie shadows on the floor. Emily's mind raced as she tried to make sense of the situation. She grabbed her phone from the kitchen counter, her hands trembling as she dialed David's number. The call went straight to voicemail. She tried her children's numbers next, but the result was the same. Her panic escalated as she realized she was completely cut off from the outside world. She rushed back upstairs, her mind a whirlwind of fear and confusion. She checked her children's rooms again, hoping she had somehow missed them in her initial search. But the rooms were empty, the beds neatly made as if they hadn't been slept in. Emily returned to her own room, her eyes scanning the space for any clue that might explain what was happening. Her gaze fell on the nightstand where a small, unfamiliar envelope lay. She picked it up, her hand shaking as she opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded neatly. She unfolded it to reveal a typed message. "Emily, do not try to leave the house. Do not call the police. Follow the clues, and you will find your family. Time is of the essence." A friend. Emily's heart pounded in her chest as she read the message again and again, her mind struggling to comprehend its implications. Who was this friend, and what did they want? She looked around the room, her eyes searching for any sign of a clue. She noticed a slight discoloration on the wallpaper behind the nightstand. She moved the furniture aside and examined the wall more closely. There, faintly visible, was a small symbol etched into the wallpaper, a stylized letter A. Emily's mind raced as she tried to decipher the meaning of the symbol. She remembered an old book in the attic, a family heirloom filled with strange symbols and cryptic messages. She hurried to the attic, her heart pounding with each step. The attic was dimly lit, the air thick with dust. She found the book tucked away in a corner, its leather binding worn with age. She flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning the symbols until she found the one that matched the etching on the wallpaper. The symbol was accompanied by a riddle. In the heart of the home, where the light does not shine, find the key to the truth hidden in time. Look to the past, where the shadows entwine, and uncover the secret that's yours and not mine. Emily pondered the riddle, her mind racing. The heart of the home could refer to the living room where the family spent most of their time. She hurried downstairs, her eyes scanning the room for any hidden clues. She noticed a slight gap in the floorboards near the fireplace. She knelt down and pried the board loose, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. Inside was an old key, tarnished with age. Emily's heart raced as she held the key in her hand. She remembered an old trunk in the basement, one that had been locked for as long as she could remember. She hurried downstairs, her steps echoing in the empty house. The trunk was covered in a thick layer of dust, its lock rusted with age. She inserted the key and turned it, the lock clicking open with a satisfying thud. She lifted the lid, revealing a collection of old photographs and letters. Emily sifted through the contents, her eyes scanning the faces in the photographs. She recognized her husband and children, but there were others she didn't know, strangers who seemed to be part of her family's past. She found a letter addressed to her, the handwriting familiar, yet somehow different. She opened it and began to read. Dear Emily, if you are reading this, then the time has come for you to know the truth. Our family has a secret, one that has been passed down through generations. We are not who we seem to be. Years ago, our ancestors made a pact with a powerful force, one that granted us prosperity and protection in exchange for our silence. But the pact came with a price. Every generation, one member of our family must disappear, their existence erased from memory. I am that member, Emily. I have been chosen to vanish, to become a ghost in the shadows of our family's history. But I could not leave without telling you the truth, without giving you a chance to break the cycle. Follow the clues, Emily. Uncover the secret that has bound our family for generations. Save our children from the fate that awaits them. With all my love, David. Emily's heart ached as she read the letter, her mind struggling to comprehend the truth. She looked at the photographs again, her eyes lingering on the faces of her husband and children. She knew she had to find them to break the cycle that had held her family captive for generations. She returned to the living room, her mind racing with questions. She noticed a slight discoloration on the wall near the fireplace, a faint outline of a hidden door. She pushed against it, revealing a secret passage that led down into the darkness. Emily grabbed a flashlight and descended into the passage, her heart pounding with each step. The air grew colder as she ventured deeper, the walls closing in around her. She followed the winding path until she emerged into a large chamber, illuminated by a faint glow. In the center of the chamber stood a stone pedestal upon which rested an ancient book. Emily approached it cautiously, her eyes scanning the intricate carvings that adorned its cover. She opened the book, revealing pages filled with symbols and incantations. She recognized one of the symbols, the same stylized A that had been etched into the wallpaper in her bedroom. She turned to the corresponding page and began to read the incantation aloud, her voice echoing through the chamber. As she spoke the final words, the ground trembled beneath her feet. The walls of the chamber began to crumble, revealing a hidden doorway that led out into the open air. Emily rushed through it, emerging into the bright light of day. She found herself in a familiar place, the park where she and her family had spent countless afternoons. She looked around, her heart swelling with hope as she saw her husband and children waiting for her, their faces filled with relief and joy. Emily rushed to them, embracing them tightly as tears streamed down her face. She knew that the secret that had bound her family for generations was finally broken, that they were free to live their lives without the shadow of the past hanging over them. But as she looked into her husband's eyes, she saw a flicker of something else, a hint of the mystery that still lingered, waiting to be unraveled. She knew that their journey was far from over, that there were still secrets to be discovered and truths to be revealed. As the days turned into weeks, Emily found herself drawn deeper into the enigma that surrounded her family. She spent countless hours poring over the ancient book, deciphering its cryptic messages and symbols. Each page revealed a new layer of the mystery, a new piece of the puzzle that had consumed her life. She discovered that the pact her ancestors had made was not with a benevolent force, but with a dark entity that fed on the fear and despair of those it consumed. The entity had been bound to her family for generations, its influence growing stronger with each passing year. Emily knew that she had to find a way to break the pact, to free her family from the entity's grasp once and for all. She turned to the ancient book, searching for any clue that might help her in her quest. She found a passage that spoke of a ritual, one that could sever the bond between the entity and her family. The ritual required a series of artifacts, each imbued with a powerful energy that could counteract the entity's influence. Emily set out on a journey to find the artifacts, her path taking her to the far corners of the world. She traveled to ancient ruins and hidden temples, each step bringing her closer to the truth. Along the way, she encountered allies and adversaries, each with their own agenda and secrets to hide. She met a mysterious scholar who claimed to have knowledge of the entity and its origins. He spoke of an ancient civilization that had worshipped the entity, their rituals and sacrifices feeding its power. The scholar warned Emily of the dangers that lay ahead, of the forces that would stop at nothing to prevent her from breaking the pact. Emily pressed on, her determination unwavering. She knew that she had to succeed, that the fate of her family and the world depended on her. She faced countless challenges and obstacles, each one testing her strength and resolve. She battled against the entity's minions, creatures of darkness and shadow that sought to consume her. She solved complex puzzles and riddles, each one bringing her closer to the artifacts she needed. She formed alliances with unlikely companions, their shared goal binding them together in a common cause. As she gathered the artifacts, Emily began to sense a change in the entity's influence. Its grip on her family seemed to be weakening, its power fading with each passing day. She knew that she was close to her goal, that the end of her journey was within reach. She returned to the chamber beneath her home, the artifacts in her possession. She arranged them in a circle around the stone pedestal, their energies combining to form a powerful barrier against the entity's influence. Emily began the ritual, her voice echoing through the chamber as she recited the ancient words. The air grew thick with energy, the walls trembling as the entity's power was challenged. She could feel its presence, its rage and desperation as it fought to maintain its hold on her family. As she spoke the final words of the ritual, a blinding light filled the chamber. The entity's screams of anguish echoed through the air as its power was stripped away. Its bond with her family severed. Emily collapsed to the floor, her body racked with exhaustion. She knew that she had succeeded, that the entity's influence was finally broken. She looked up to see her husband and children standing before her, their faces filled with gratitude and love. Together they emerged from the chamber, their steps light and free. They knew that the shadow of the past was finally behind them, that they could look to the future with hope and optimism. But as they stepped out into the light of day, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was not yet over. She knew that there were still mysteries to be uncovered, still truths to be revealed. And she knew that she would face whatever challenges lay ahead. her family by her side, their love and strength guiding her through the darkness. Years passed, and Emily's family thrived in the absence of the entity's influence. They grew stronger and more united, their bonds deepening with each passing day. Emily continued to study the ancient book, her curiosity and thirst for knowledge unquenched. She discovered that the entity was not the only force that had been bound to her family. There were others, both benevolent and malevolent, that had been drawn to her family's unique heritage. She knew that she had to be vigilant, that she had to protect her family from any threats that might arise. Emily became a guardian of her family's legacy, a keeper of their secrets, and protector of their future. She passed down her knowledge to her children, teaching them the rituals and incantations that would keep them safe. She knew that the battle against the entity was not the end of their journey, but merely a chapter in a much larger story. As her children grew older, they began to exhibit unique abilities and talents. They could sense the presence of the supernatural, their intuition and perception heightened beyond that of ordinary people. Emily knew that they were destined for greatness, that they would play a crucial role in the ongoing battle against the forces of darkness. She watched as her children embraced their destinies, their paths, taking them to the far corners of the world. They faced challenges and adversities, their strength and resolve tested at every turn, but they never faltered, their love for each other and their family guiding them through the darkest of times. Emily knew that her family's legacy would continue, that their story would be passed down through the generations. She knew that there would be trials and tribulations, that there would be victories and defeats. But she also knew that her family would endure, that their love and strength would see them through the darkest of nights. And so, with her family by her side, Emily Sterling stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For she knew that the greatest mysteries were not those that could be solved, but those that could be embraced. Their secrets held close to the heart, waiting to be revealed in the light of a new dawn. The story of Emily Sterling and her family became a legend, a tale passed down through the generations. It spoke of love and sacrifice, of courage and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. It told of a family bound by an ancient pact, their fates intertwined with the forces of light and darkness. As the years turned into decades, the legend of the Sterling family grew. It inspired countless others to embrace their own destinies, to face their fears, and overcome the challenges that life threw at them. It became a beacon of hope and inspiration, a testament to the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. And though the details of the story may have changed with each retelling, the essence of the legend remained the same. It spoke of a woman who refused to accept the fate that had been thrust upon her, who fought against the shadows of the past to forge a brighter future for her family. It told of a journey that spanned generations, of a battle that raged between the forces of light and darkness. It spoke of the power of love and the strength of the human spirit, of the courage to face the unknown and the determination to overcome the impossible. And so, the legend of Emily Sterling and her family lived on, a testament to the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. It reminded us that even in the darkest of times, there was always hope, always a light to guide us through the shadows. For in the end, it was not the mysteries that defined us, but the choices we made and the paths we took. It was the love that bound us together, the strength that saw us through the darkest of nights, and the hope that guided us into the light of a new dawn.